Today we're going to look at the top 5 calorie burning exercises. Now, to specify on this list, we're going to look at 5 exercises that you can do in a regular gym. Otherwise, if we went outside of this, we would have to include things like water polo, which is obviously ridiculous as no one plays water polo. Now, with the exception of one exercise on this list, we're going to refer to the ACE, which is the American Council of Exercises list of calories burned per exercise. And we're going to use a 1 hour work time as an average. And that person is going to weigh between 125 and 185 pounds, which will give us a range of different body sizes that you can sort of fit yourself into. Also, don't shoot the messenger on this one. I didn't make the statistics and I didn't make the numbers. I'm using, as I say, someone else's list, but I'm bringing you the information. What you need to consider is it sustainable for 1 hour? The kind of exercise that appears on the list, the kind of level that you would need to perform that exercise with. And there will obviously be variations as well. You know, there'll be variations in fitness levels. So just have a broad kind of thing. Let's take a person who can perform at this level. Say you are this person. If you work for an hour, this is roughly how many calories you would burn on the following 5 exercises. Number 1, jumping rope, or skipping, as we say in the UK. Now, I found this one, to be honest, to be a big surprise to be number 1. This is assuming that you're going to be jumping at 120 skips per minute, which is pretty fast. And you're going to be basically, in that case, burning between 667 and 990 calories. It's at that pace, it's a lot of skips in a minute, 120. So it's two every second, basically. Now, question is, how many people could do that consistently for an hour? But if you break things down into chunks, 15 minutes of this versus 15 minutes of this would still come out on number 1 in those 15 minutes. Jumping up and down is hard. It takes a lot of energy. You have to use your leg muscles. I question it in terms of people who are a little bit heavier because it puts a lot of stress through the structure. You also have to use your arms, a bit of coordination. And you have to do it fast with skipping because otherwise it's not called skipping. It's just called stepping over a rope, isn't it? Number 2 on the list is the air bike. Different names for these things: assault bike, air bike. They're all the same kind of things. It's the one where you pedal the feet and you move your arms. This is the only thing that is on the list that isn't on the ACE list because it's a relatively new piece of gym gear it's only recently been accepted mainstream because it's come from outside. It's been around for a long time, but it's made its way into mainstream gyms because of CrossFit. Now, on this thing, anyone who knows the assault bike, as I just generally call it, they know it's an absolute nightmare. It's an absolute killer. You can't really go slow on it. It always hurts in some angle. The great thing about this is the one piece of kit I think that you can really go hell for leather on, maximum power, absolutely smoke yourself, and with almost zero mechanical strain. It really is a great piece of kit. So it would be one of the go-to things if you were to have a home gym, you want to do something to get your heart rate up, work on your fitness without bashing your knees around, that would be on the list. Having said that, let's move on to the numbers. If you're pedaling on an assault bike at around about 55 to 60 RPM for 1 hour, you can expect to burn in the region of 600 to 900 calories. And as I say, if you've used one, you know that's going to be about right. My question on this is, I don't know many people who could perform for 1 hour at 55 to 65 or 60 revolutions per minute because it's a nightmare. Number 3 on the list is my favorite entry, is combat training. On this, you can burn, I think it's about 560 to 830 roughly calories per hour. Now, forgive the pun, but I don't think anything packs as big a punch as combat training because it includes so many essential skills. It's great for your cardiovascular fitness. It's great for power development. It's great for skill, coordination, balance, and it's just a practical skill that could save your life. But in terms of effort, it's also incredible because it's just non-stop and it's full body training. And I always say when it comes to, for example, just hitting the bag, you can't fake hit the bag because it doesn't make any noise and it doesn't move. When you hit the bag, you want to hit the bag hard. Now, having said that, there's a huge skill element to combat training. And yes, you can come in and just wail away on the bag and it will burn a lot of calories. But in order to be efficient and probably move towards that high calorie burn, you want to have good technique, because the technique will allow you to hit harder for longer. Number 4 on the list is indoor cycling, probably my least favorite entry. I find it incredibly dull. I can't think of anything worse than sitting on a bike for an hour, being motivated by someone wearing neon spandex cycling gear. It doesn't float my boat. However, I can see why it's very accessible. And the good news is you burn a lot of calories doing this one, somewhere in the region of like 560 to 840 calories, depending on your overall size. Very accessible form of exercise. It is, however, very limited to lower body. So although it has a lot of calories out, they're all centered on this kind of, lower extremities. And people, I think, get addicted to spin classes and end up with nice solid legs and, really weak upper bodies. So not the most balanced, but a big calorie burner. And finally, number 5 on the list is running. I would have thought, to be honest, that this would have popped up earlier in the list, but that's a little bit to do with perceptions of what's an accessible exercise, because everyone really can do some form of really light running. When we're talking about these calories burnt, again, 560, 840 kind of range, that equates to around about, I think 9.6 on the treadmills in kilometers. It's a 10-minute mile kind of pace. So it's not particularly high pace. The good thing about running is it's accessible for everyone. Having said that, most people who are doing these long duration runs, they shouldn't be doing them anyway. You should be, looking after your body in other ways than just flogging it on the road or on the treadmill. You should be doing things like lifting weights, work on your mobility, working on your conditioning work, and get in and out of the gym, and your body will thank you for it later on, as opposed to, trashing your testosterone levels with this endurance training. Unless, of course, you're training for a marathon. All the best.